So the power of flow and real estate reviews.
Nice.
We've been using the Ninja Flow Guide for a couple of years now through the courses and stuff. A great one that we've discovered, and we've built a fantastic piece for. Well, we
built it.
Kirsten and Corin, with input, I'm sure, from Lindsay, but just an awesome piece that they've done. Check it out. Go to Marketing on Your Virtual Office, over to the right-hand side where the buyer and listing presentations are, and it's there, and it will be updated monthly. So when we're creating a real estate business, one of the most important things, of course, is staying in flow, being in touch on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. The real estate review is the most potent form of flow available. If you institute this into your business, it's drastically going to increase your bottom line. So, and it's kind of funny. I mean, agents will avoid real estate reviews for 4 reasons. And all these reasons really come down to comfort.
Okay, exactly.
Yeah. So the first one being, they're not sure how to create the package. Mm-hmm. We've taken care of that for you with a fantastic piece.
Sure.
They don't know what to say on the phone call to get that real estate review face-to-face.
Script it.
Yes.
Script it.
And we're going to run through it really quickly today. And within the next couple of weeks, we're going to institute a course off on it.
Good.
So that we can do a straight course just about flow and real estate reviews. That's a little surprise for Lindsay. He doesn't know about that.
Are you going to be doing that? Or is
I think I am after
awesome. Great idea. You bought it. You bought it.
Some people are uncomfortable with the approach because they feel it's a little bit salesy and doesn't feel Canadian. Mm-hmm. I think you'll see when I'm doing it today, when you have the true objective of putting your client's interests first, it doesn't come across as salesy. It comes across as great information that they should want. Yeah.
Great.
And they're not sure what to do on the appointment, so we're going to role play the appointment as well today. Dave gets to beat me up. He's going to be the
I'm going to be the client.
Yeah.
Cool. I like that. So David, why don't you start us off? What does this review look like?
Well, it looks like paper.
Looks like paper.
Starts off with the piece that Kirsten has built, 17 pages right now online. Pick and choose what you want with anything, make it yourself. But the idea is to start out macro and come into micro. Yeah. So we're starting out with a national look, a provincial look, a municipal look, down to the community look. And then it's your option if you want to take it that next step.
To the individual property.
A little bit individual on the property, but it's not as full CMA. So you don't want to get too in-depth because then it does come across as a listing appointment, which is not what this is about.
That's right. It's educating them.
It's just about educating them.
Okay.
So, you ready to jump in?
When you're ready, I make a good client. I'm ornery.
All right. The other thing we should mention before you get it with this, it's what the real estate review really is for your client. It's a quick market analysis of the property and neighborhood to give to the homeowner and what's happened in the last year. But most importantly, it's an offering of value to our client. And we got to remember that.
Great. Now, I want to ask you as well, like with this role play, are we on the phone or are you at my home with me?
No, the first part will be on the phone,
okay.
And then it'll be we're at the coffee shop.
Cool.
Because the idea that these things are quick and painless, so you can get a face-to-face to your client. Your goal is to get a meeting that's going to last about 15 minutes over a quick coffee at Timmy's or Starbucks or wherever's comfortable.
Sure.
If they want it in their house, you can go there by all means.
Never say no.
Never say no if you get a chance to get in your client's home.
For sure.
All righty.
Okay.
So again, not a in-depth CMA. It's not a tool to get a listing. It's just a way for us to stay in flow and offer something of great value to our clients. So we're going to get ready here.
Okay.
Ring, ring.
Hey, hello.
Oh,
hey,
Dave, I'm glad you remembered how to answer the phone.
I know.
I forget that often myself.
I saw David Anderson on there and I got happy.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. So how are you doing? How's the family, the kids?
Doing really well.
Awesome.
Thanks.
How are things at work?
Busy.
Really
run
busy?
Off my feet, so things are good.
Good. I know that you were away a little while ago. I think you were down golfing in Vegas or something. Did you have a good time?
Yeah, I had a conference, managed to get a few rounds of golf, and it was good back
awesome.
in February.
Got a little relaxed time in, screw the head back on, good?
Yeah, a little break.
Excellent. So what are you doing this summer? I know that you usually go camping with the kids. Have you got a big one planned yet? Have they told you what they want to do?
Yeah, actually we're going to go down to the Kalispell, Flathead Lake, and Whitefish and spend about 2 weeks camping.
Oh, that's awesome. I know I've been down through there ourselves. It's just such a beautiful area that time of year.
Really looking forward to it. Kids are getting older. Figure we better camp while they still want to come.
Well, it won't be that long. All of ours are up and gone. Our oldest is 20, almost 20 now.
Wow.
So it goes by really quick.
It does.
So the reason I called today, Dave, is I've put together a real estate review on your property for you. Okay. It's just kind of a quick glance over the last year, what's happened in the market. And when you think about where we've gone in the last year and heard the news cycles, we had, very busy spring last year. Inventory was low. Prices were rising. We saw oil drop last fall. The market slowed down. The natural reaction when there's upheaval of the market, people will sit and wait. So some things have happened. But this review takes all of that in, kind of gives you a snapshot view of what's happened nationally, provincially, locally, within your community, and kind of an idea about your own home and sort of where you're at. And of course, with it being your largest investment, I thought you'd like an update on what it's doing.
Sure. What do you need from me?
If we can, if it works out for you sometime the next week, why don't we grab a quick coffee? Takes about 10 to 15 minutes, depending on the amount of questions you have to go through the piece. And then you have it to take home and hang on to.
Okay, well, I'll be honest, David. We're not considering a move right now. We're really happy with the house you sold us.
Excellent. That's what this is not about that at all. This is about making sure you understand what's going on with your biggest investment. Okay. So, we know from talking to other clients right now, they're wondering what's going on in the market and what has happened. So this is what this is about. It's strictly an informational session so that you have some good information.
Okay. No, I could do that. Now, David, I work way down by South Center in the office tower there.
Yep.
Could you come by my office or say the Starbucks by my office? And
absolutely. What's your favorite? Isn't there a great pie place down there right near you?
I'm off the pies, David. I might go for
too bad because I'm still on pie.
I'm off the pie. But Starbucks would work great. It's right by my office if you wanted to meet. Like, I'm looking at my calendar next Tuesday or Thursday morning, maybe a 10 a.m. coffee for half an hour.
I can't do Tuesday, but I could do Thursday morning.
Why don't we put it in our book?
Excellent. Well, I'll put it in. I'll send you a quick check-up email or call on Wednesday. Make sure you're still available and you haven't got overloaded, and we'll see you then.
Okay. No, I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Great.
Thanks, Dave.
You're welcome. Now, what I'd like to do is back up about 3 steps here, and Dave's going to say he can't meet with me and show you how to deal with that. Okay. That he just, no, we're too busy, just, whatever. So, Dave, I'd love to get together with you to present this. Do you have can you available for coffee in the next week or two?
Honestly, Dave, it's not a good time. Really busy with work and family.
I can understand that. So I've already got this all prepared. What I'd like to do then is I'll drop it in the mail to you today. You should get it with Calgary's mail, sometime the next year.
In June.
Realistically, before the end of the week. Have a look at it. I'll follow up with you next week. Quick call, 2-3 minutes. Just to see if you have any questions on it, or if, after you've seen the material, you might like to meet at that point.
Sure, no, that sounds fair.
Great. We'll talk to you later, and thanks for taking the time today.
Great. Thanks, David.
So as you can see, the call is fairly quick. It's still a Ford call. Mm-hmm. We want to be off in 3 minutes if we can, max 5 minutes. We're calling someone at work, so we want them to be able to keep taking our calls. So now we're going to jump ahead. We're going to be meeting for the coffee.
Okay.
And we're going to go from there.
Great.
So you all ready?
I sure am. And I'll even bring in my prop.
I'll bring in my prop.
Bring in your prop. We're at the coffee shop. Okay.
So we'll pretend we've done the niceties and we're about to move in. So Dave, we may as well get to what we wanted to talk about today, which of course was the real estate review on your home. So I've prepared the package for you, a little bit of thump factor.
Thank you.
The first parts we're going to whip through fairly quickly here. We're going to start out, it's based on April numbers, okay. So right up until March 31st, and we're going forward from there.
Okay.
So when we're looking at yearly for national housing statistics, you can take a look here real quick, and you can see that we were fairly strong across the country with some rare exceptions. Mm-hmm. Alberta, a year-over-year percentage change has dropped a little bit from February 2015 to February 14. In our market, which is more concerned. And Newfoundland took a big hit. Yeah. A couple of provinces that were up quite strongly. Ontario was still up. New Brunswick, not sure what's the Canada as a whole was up 6%.
It is interesting, though, to
Yeah.
see that. Alberta was down in Newfoundland, and both natural resources are a big part of both of them. Eh?
Exactly.
Okay.
And when we're looking across here, we have residential sales activity, so you kind of get an idea nationally, right back from 2011 right through by quarters for you.
Okay.
So you can see it's like anything else. We have a spiky market in Canada, very responsive to the economy and what's going on.
Cool.
Residential market balance across Canada for the last 12 months, starting in January 12. And we can go across the months of inventory, and you can see where they were starting to shoot up in 2013, came back down, and now we're seeing the rise again in early 2015.
Okay.
And we're also seeing almost the exact thing with sales to new listings ratio on how that changes with inventory. As it starts to drop off, as inventory shrinks, we see sales going up higher.
Okay.
Normal market demand stuff that we've seen.
Okay.
So Alberta, let's take a quick
sure.
look.
I'd like to look at Alberta.
So residential average price in Alberta, when we looked in 2011, the average was sitting just below 350,000. The high mark really was in about September, October of last year, where it peaked at about 4.25, about just over 400, 405, 410. We've seen a drop off a little bit down into that 380 range.
Mm-hmm.
So a little bit of a drop through Alberta as a whole in the first part of the year. January, February are represented on here. Now that was when we were right in the throes of the $50 oil. Really expect to see something like that. Kind of natural. People just kind of stop. When buyers are unsure, they wait to see what happens.
They find a fence.
Exactly. And they sit and they wait. And if things improve, don't improve, what's going to happen to interest rates, provincial elections come along, everything has to be rolled in.
Okay. Interesting.
So when we look at just residential sales activity in February's over the last 5 years from 2011 through, and we've seen some up and downs quite strong. We were at about 4,011, 4,500. Then we stayed at 4,500. Peaked last year at about 4,700. And this year we saw a fairly strong drop in February, and we were down at about just under 3,500 homes across the province as a whole. So it is interesting to see it's not just Calgary, but again, if we were to look at March numbers, just because I've been able to see them, they're just out. This is the first time we've seen a strong rebound in that our numbers are very comparable to 2013, which 2013 was only a little bit below 2014. So we're starting to see some balance into the market. I think people are getting a little more comfortable with what's happened with oil. As the longer it goes on and it stays stable in that 49 to 50 range, we've been lucky in the last week. It's popped up a couple times. It was up to 56. If we follow the same kind of schedule we saw in 08, where it started to recover in April and before fall was up to $65, $70 a barrel, which is actually right out of the email that Ron predicted and talked about when this first happened. What happened during the last cycle, we're seeing sort of the same curve right now. We also have tremendously low interest rates, which is good. We're seeing the U.S. economy rebound quite strongly, which naturally makes our economy start to heat up eventually as well. We're usually 12 to 18 months behind, but that bodes well for us over a next 2 to 3 to 4 year cycle.
Good. Okay, so that was Alberta. We talked
Alberta.
about Alberta.
Calgary.
Now that's what I want to talk about. Tell me about my market.
Absolutely. So we're seeing kind of the same things, but a microcosm, a little more reactive here because we are much more sensitive to oil pricing and always have been. In January 2011, you're seeing the average price at just under 400,000, about 390. We went up to a high here in 2014. Spike was about June, and then another mini spike in September, but we were up to about 460, 465.
Okay.
And then we saw a drop again in January and February. We dropped down below the 450 mark to about 437, 440. But then we saw a rebound already in March where we're back up over the 450 mark Not approaching the high, but very close. We're within 10 or 15,000.
Okay.
So if you're thinking about it, the average home, the average house in Calgary, last year might have been at about 467.5. As of March of this year, it's sitting at about 455.
So it's not this catastrophe that I'm reading in the paper every week.
No, and even if you've noticed in the last couple of weeks, the media's backed off of it a bit, and they're talking about the stability we're starting to see in the market, which is great for all of us.
Good to
Months
hear.
of inventory, very important. 011, we had definitely a buyer's market. We were up almost to 4. 12, we were dropped down to 3. 13, the market started to heat up. We averaged 2.5. 2014, where we saw the increases, we were down at just over 1.5. And at some points during the year, at the high points, we were down right at 1 or below.
Okay, what does that mean to me, David, as a homeowner who doesn't really know this stuff? What does that mean?
What happens here is when we look at supply and demand.
Yeah.
So if we have what we refer to as 3.5 or 4 months,
Yeah.
there's almost too much for the buyer to look at.
Okay.
So it starts to be, they have a lot more choice, which starts to give them the power because they can start negotiating on the first one and go, well, you know, I can't get the price I want, but there's 3 others out there that I like just as well, so I'll move on to the next one.
Okay, I
When
get it now. So there's more choices. It's better for a buyer.
Laws of scarcity,
Okay.
really, and as we start to decrease, then people start to slide to what we call a seller's market. In Calgary, that's usually 1 to 2 months. The 3-month mark is kind of balanced.
Okay.
We get at over 4 for sure. We're moving towards a buyer's market. In 2015, so far, we've averaged a 3.5 months supply. But that included a brief period in January where we actually showed 7 months supply.
Okay.
And we've been sitting right around 3 to about 3.4 for the last 6-7 weeks. So a great balanced market, which is good both for you, the seller, and the buyer. The buyer's got enough choice, but there's not too much out there,
Okay.
and it's balanced, and the market kind of flows naturally. If we see it continue to heat up, we may see a reduction because we're definitely seeing a reduction in listings coming on.
But it's a trade-off for me when I want to sell because I'm going to be selling my home in this market and buying back in the same market.
Absolutely, and that's what we talk about with everyone. You're always trading usually in an even market.
Okay.
Occasionally you can take advantage of a quick blip where you've been able to sell yours and we may see a drop and you gain on that price, or you get the blip and you're selling at a high, and as you're searching during your closing period, we see the market drop off a couple of points and you may save.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, a couple of $1,000s each way on the purchase over the lifetime of the house is not
It's not
a
worth
huge
delaying
effect.
your plans or changing your
No.
life over because you don't
But you can
know.
take a look at it.
Okay.
March only, residential sales activity. We're seeing lower amount of sales than we've seen in the last few years, but still reasonably strong. We're at about 2,250 sales.
Okay.
The height, we saw just over 3,000 at about 3,100. And that was last year in 2014 when the market superheated for a brief period of time. So neighborhoods.
Neighborhoods. We're going to talk about my neighborhood.
We're going to talk about yours. Now, this may be a little intimidating. Every neighborhood in Calgary is here.
Okay.
Some of our clients love this kind of information. Some of them will only want to see their own.
Okay.
So we'll jump right to Collingwood.
Right to mine. Oh,
Right
now
to
everybody
yours.
knows where I live.
Wow. Is that where you live? I
Yeah.
just picked that out
No,
of the
that's
air.
where I live.
I'm lucky. So when we look into, all right, let's pick a different one.
No, pick mine. I want to teach me about my neighborhood.
Teach you about your neighborhood?
Yeah. Do you have the Northwest?
Yeah, we're sitting in here. So you're sitting, we got Zone B, Royal Oak.
I'd be Zone A.
Yes, you would. Help if I
I
got
wouldn't
on
know
the right
that. I
page.
wouldn't know that.
Can I borrow your
Sure.
Zone A? Thank you. So we're looking down here on Collingwood. Right now in March, there were 11 actives.
Okay.
We saw a drop of 48%.
I'm the next one.
Oh, sorry.
The little one with no sales.
Only 2 sales. Well, there wasn't a lot of activity.
Old houses.
Well, down 71% year to date.
I'm not moving.
You're not, well, you may want to. There's not a lot of people out there. If you were considering it, do you want to be in the neighborhood where there's only 1 or 2 for sale, or the one where there's 10 on the market right now?
Fewer is better, I'd say.
Yeah. So those are straight sales. Listings, we have 3 on the market right now, down considerably from last year. Year to date, we've seen 13 over the 3 months.
Okay.
So you're averaging 3 to 4 sales per month. So when we see 3 actives currently now, obviously your absorption is about 1 month in yours, which, as we said, in your neighborhood means you're in a bit of a seller's market.
It doesn't sound like a slump in Collingwood at all.
Not in Collingwood. Again, higher demand areas like yours with inner city bungalows that people want to renovate or add second stories to or remove. You can sometimes beat the market simply because of the demand for your neighborhood.
Okay.
So when we jump across into average pricing, the median price across right now is $547.5. The average price for March for yours is $547.5, which is down about 5% year over year.
Okay.
So again, when we looked at it, it's not, I mean, you can take a look at it and say, well, that's $25,000. But again, if you were trading in an equivalent market that's also down, there's no net loss when you move to your next property.
Good to know.
Okay. So a lot of good information in
Really
there
good
for you.
information. Wow.
If you want to look up your moms or your neighbors or your friends down there and look knowledgeable to them, great. Now, I know you like to have a little more specific information about your home. So what I've done for you is just a couple of quick things here from my Focus First visual pricing, which you're used to from when we priced your home when we went to buy this.
Okay.
So if you were on the market right now, the odds of selling right now are about 56% for you.
Okay.
Just the way the market is moving. Activity in last year was higher. It was selling much quicker, and you were running at almost about 80 or 90% chance of garnering your sale.
Okay.
Summary, and going back 2012, it was lower. We were down about the 70% mark. But the interesting thing we always wonder is, when do people buy?
Yes, I'd like to know.
So the great thing about this schedule that I'm showing you is just the buying pattern over the last 12 months. So this represents all the sales in your neighborhood. And we see there's 2 distinct clusters, which almost in a way is a little bit of an anomaly, because we're seeing that January, February, March, there was a small cluster, and then June, July, August.
A lot of sales. All those dots are sales?
Yes.
Okay.
But what we saw last year when we're looking at that buying market was the market started to heat up, people get nervous. So all of a sudden, there wasn't a lot available. Then we had a flush of inventory come on later in the late spring that drove these sales in June, July, August. If the market follows last year, which is possible, we could see the same thing again because we do have lower inventory now. Okay. So as you saw with your neighborhood, only 3 on the market.
Nothing
and
there.
You're at 1 month. If we started to see more come on, we would see the buying pattern start to snap them up stronger. Okay. And this is traditionally when we see homes strongest. Interesting, fall, you get out of August, we had 1 sale past the end of August.
Okay.
So don't move in the fall.
No, I'm not going to move in the fall. I'm not going to. I've done that before.
Yeah, so. And then we got a projected pond for you on what's coming on into the market for you. As we saw from some of the data, we're averaging 3 to 4 houses a month coming on and 3 to 4 coming off. So your pond coming in the next 90 days, we can expect 11 projected homes to come on the market. We know there's 1 currently under contract. We had 2 properties in there for a total of 13 that are available, but 1 under contract is 12, and we're selling at the same rate.
Okay.
So we really won't see it change probably if the market follows the same. In the next 90 days, we should stay at that inventory of 2 to 3 houses, not anymore, because they're moving fairly quickly for you.
Okay.
And then when we look specific to, now this represents all the sales for houses somewhat similar to yours in Collingwood.
Okay.
And what's happened to their pricing. So when we see where the dots are, the circles are sales, triangles are actives, and then we have terminateds.
Okay.
So when we look across here at square footage, at your home being about 1,900, and we take it up to the trend line, you're either going to be above or below. I haven't been in your house for a while, so I don't know what you've done to change condition, if you've done anything, what's happened in the neighborhood, those kinds of things. And again, so this is a snapshot. If I had, and really this is a ballpark for you, I'd look at the value of your home sitting in right around where we saw the average, because your house is kind of right in the middle. So you're going to be sitting somewhere between 550 right now and 580.
Okay.
So your investment is down a little bit theoretically from last year, but you're in for the long term anyways, as we know. So as we saw the market grow, now if I took your pricing back to 2013, you're still ahead of the game.
Good to know.
2013, you were at about 5.25.
Okay.
So you're still up significantly over 2 years ago. And that's natural when we look at Calgary. The 30-year trend line usually shows us about 6% year-over-year growth. But unfortunately, it goes like this.
Okay.
So you want to be buying down here and selling when we're up here near the blips. So those are the kinds of things that we do with this review. It keeps us in mind of what the market is. And you can make some decisions.
Well, thank you for that. Really good stuff. And as a sidebar, you should let people know where we can get these graphics. They're excellent. Really, the visual graphics Dave used are incredible. Like if someone who doesn't want to look at numbers.
Now, I use the Focus First stuff, visual pricing. You can create some of this stuff yourself, whatever you're comfortable using in doing what I used to call a mini CMA or a snapshot view. So you might just pull the solds for the last 12 months and just kind of do them on a one-liner and say, here's what's been happening, here's specific to your neighborhood. Use what you're comfortable and knowledgeable with. For me, it was visual pricing. Makes it so simple and quick.
That wasn't awkward at all. Even if we hadn't seen each other for a year or two, you kept on point, you kept on track, and it's easier to have a conversation about real estate with me with all the material. You came so prepared. You know, you could answer my questions. I didn't have a lot because I'm not selling, but you made it easy. It wasn't an awkward conversation. You weren't trying to list my home. You were educating me.
No. Now, one of the things when I talked to Peter Parnig yesterday or Friday in the States, they've added a couple of questions in, and it depends on your relationship with your client and how you feel about them, and if knowing from your previous Ford calls that a move might be something that's going to happen, or they do, they're fairly well off and have decent investments. Some of the questions that they've come up with that you can add in depending on your comfort level is, and the first one is what are your long-term plans, Dave, for your home right now?
Well, I'm going to probably die in it. They're probably going to take my old corpse out of there in about 35 years.
Excellent. So you see that as your long-term home for now,
Yeah.
be passed on to the kids as part of the estate.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. With interest rates as low as they are right now and predicted to be in the next little while, you're definitely sure, and this is a different way of saying the same question, is this the house you want to be in?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we did such a good one finding that for you a couple of years ago. Now, I know you do have a varied investment portfolio. We've talked about that a little bit before. With the rates that we see some of the GICs and other stuff earning as it's declined over the last few years, have you thought about putting real estate at all into your portfolio?
Well, I never felt I knew enough about it to become a landlord or an investor.
Okay. That's maybe a chat for another day, but we'll follow up with that. Just as you're starting to look, I mean, we're just out of our RSP season, and there are some options for you coming forward where you could see if you were purchasing the right home and we could help you and you found the right property manager. So it was no effort for you other than writing the check. And we found a property that would cash flow and provide an additional income and also offer that sort of average equity growth of 6% a year. You'd be beating your current GICs by about 4.5%, plus adding in your equity growth, which on, say, you were in the $300,000 or $400,000 range at 6% per year, is about $24,000.
That's something I'd look at with you soon.
Okay. Well, I'll follow up with you in a week or so. We can see a time. I know you want to talk to the powers that be and share some of this stuff, and we'll compare notes and then see if there is a fit that you might want to start the opportunity.
Okay. No, I appreciate that. Dave, that is actually an excellent way to end this, asking some of those questions to find out if there are any other needs.
They're
awesome.
very soft probes, especially with customers like our people that are in their 40s, 50s, prime earning years, that have been in their homes for a while and have big equity sitting in there. This is a good approach to talk about it because chances are they're looking at their RSPs and GICs, especially their very secure stuff, underperforming.
Yes.
And with the 30-year trends, we can definitely show stability in our market, even though it does move like this.
Okay.
So, and getting in, and even just saying, well, it's worth exploring, and we could hook you up with someone for financing would be the first step. And that's another conversation. Say, I'll talk to you in a week and set that appointment up. Or if you feel it's right and they're very interested, say, you know what, why don't we schedule an hour or two to sit down and go through how this works for you?
I love it. You're opening up this is non-threatening, like the real estate update.
Yep.
And it can lead to a secondary meeting on something more to the point of I love it. I really do. Excellent job on this.
Perfect.
Make a good course out of this.
Yeah.
Excellent.
It is. I'm going to talk to Lindsay actually today about it. We'll try and get
Okay.
the course up and running within the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
It'd be a 2-hour session. Probably about the first 40 minutes would be how to do this again. And then we try to spend the rest of the time role playing it so you're comfortable and you can get out there and start doing these. If you think about it, if you have a list of 100 people and you do 100 of these in the next year, it's 43 transactions if you do it right.
Wow, that's amazing. David, thank you so much for doing the role play with me today. I do want to move on to our next transition.